I want to raise a generation or encourage, inspire a generation of intimate walkers with God and intimate prayer people. Praise and worship, intercessory prayer, petitionary prayer, walking in the power and presence of God. And today I bring you 1 Corinthians 1, 4 and 5. And Paul says something like, I always thank God for you. And he was speaking to the so-called carnal, bickering, fighting, immoral Corinthians. There were so many things wrong with the Corinthians. They were divided and all of that. And yet, Paul practiced what he preached. He found something to be thankful for about the Corinthians. And the point is that to walk with God, you have to see something to be thankful for, even in the midst of calamity, in the midst of trouble, because God is never absent. So you can never be unthankful if you want to walk closely with him. And then he says, I thank God for you always because you were enriched with every spiritual blessing, and you don't lack utterance and gifts of the Spirit. But the Corinthians lacked character. But they were gifted spiritually, but they lacked character. Nevertheless, Paul didn't say, I am ungrateful for you. No, even though they had gifts but didn't have good character, Paul was nevertheless thankful. And that's the attitude you cultivate if you want to walk closely with God. In the absence of what you don't have, you must see the presence of what you do have. You have God. And if God is there, there is something to be thankful for. And God obviously was the one who had gifted the Corinthians. And sometimes God can give things to people who don't deserve it. And that's the basis of thanksgiving. Charis, from the Greek, charis, to be grateful because God has given, even though the person God has given to, in our opinion, or by their behavior, they don't qualify. Well, if there is no qualification and they still have it, it's a mark of the grace and the mercy of God, something we must never take for granted. And so in your daily walk with God, in order to have a radical intimacy with God and power in prayer, you must acknowledge the good things for which we must be thankful. So later on in 1 Thessalonians, when we get there, we will read, Paul says, in everything give thanks. Why? Because this is the will of God. And Apostle Paul was practicing the will of God by giving thanks for the Corinthians who were carnal. He himself said so. They were divided, took each other to court, and were immoral. But they had something God had given them for which to be thankful. You too, you may not be perfect, but God has gifted you with something and or some things. For those things and for that, be thankful and always walk with thankfulness and gratitude. And on that basis, the rest can be fixed. Because we are thankful for what we have, God will do the rest. Have a blessed day. Love you. Bye-bye.